Welcome once again to the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. I'm JT Hill, your host of the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. There's Lucire Boyd, my co-host, Detroit chapter. I'm the ATL chapter. And joining us tonight from the SLT, from the D, what up, Doe?
What up, though?
Lucire's chapter brother, Bryan Castleberry.
What up, though, BMR Nation? Good to be here.
Yes, it is. So we got a special treat for you tonight. We're not interviewing Bryan Castleberry. We're actually interviewing Brother Lucire Boyd, the man, the legend. Yes, you, sir. Yes, you. But
And
before
the
we get
myth.
into that, Bryan, tell us a little about yourself. For those who may not know you, and I can't imagine that people don't know you, but we have new members all the time, so there are some that don't know you. Your history of BMR, your role in the SLT, Detroit chapter, all of that.
Appreciate it, Brother JT. BMR Nation, I'm Bryan Castleberry. I currently serve as the Chief Strategy Officer for the SLT and have held a number of roles on the SLT. And my, I guess, starting point within Black Men Run was I am the founding captain, or was the founding captain of our Black Men Run Detroit chapter, and where I met Lucire Boyd.
You'll always be the founding chapter of the Detroit, the founding, of Detroit chapter.
Captain.
Yeah, you'll always be the founding captain. Um, Indeed. So Bryan came up with a great idea. A lot of people know Lucire, but a lot of people don't know who is this man, Lucire Boyd. And we talked, and I'm thinking to myself, great idea. Let's do it. So, Brother Lou, it's about you tonight, sir.
Oh, snap.
Castleberry, take it away.
Hey, I feel it. Brother Lou, I just want to say, man, it is a honor to be here, to be a part of this interview. I think that the world and BMR Nation definitely need to learn more about who you are and who we get to see on a regular basis. And I'll start off, maybe you could share a little bit about your background, Lou, and how you got started with running.
I got started with running back in high school. My brother, who is a marathon runner, he used to run a 301 marathon back in his heyday.
Oh,
He asked me, did I want to run a marathon? And I didn't know what a marathon was, but I just wanted to run with my big brother. So I was like, yeah, I run a marathon. So we signed up for the Detroit Free Press Marathon. And he had me running 5 miles and 10 miles every day. So he just had came out the United States Army and he was singing cadence as we run. So we was going like a one, you two, two, you three, you four, four, you one, two, three, four. So we doing miles like that. And when you're doing that as a young man, you're not thinking you that's how the military gets gets the cardio for their men to be able to be stronger. So we doing that back and forth, and we end up doing the Detroit Free Press Marathon at the end of the year, and it was a little over 2,000 back in those days, back in the 80s, and I ended up coming in 1,118th place, and my time was 4 hours 13 minutes and 20 seconds. And back then, the finish line was in the on Belle. It started in Canada back in those days.
oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think most of us know that here from Detroit, that it started in Canada once upon a time and ended at Belle Isle.
Well, it used to be actually it started in Detroit, but we had a guy, his name is Doug Curtis, and he negotiated going across the bridge with the Canadians. He was the one that negotiated that deal. And that's what made it an international marathon. And that was
Really?
just that's what Doug Curtis, who all those who don't know, Doug Curtis was one a very influential person who started me running, coming back running. He came up to me one day. We're in a run club called Downtown Runners and Walkers in Detroit. And he said, Lucire, he said, don't take running seriously. He said, I'm an ultra runner. He said my first marathons was basically under 3 hours. We got certain people that are natural, that's ultra, that's just elites, but they're just natural runners. He said a lot of people I've seen through the years leave running because they times go down. He said people lose they stride and not able to go as fast as they used to. They're not getting their PRs anymore. So they quit running. And it always stuck in the back of my mind that stay in this game. I want to be in this game in my 70s, 80s, 90s, stay in it. Don't just quit because I can't run as fast as I used to. So he was very instrumental to me running back in the 2011, 2010 when I came back into running.
So Lou, when you ran your first marathon, how old were you? And was that your very first running experience, your first race?
That was my first race. My first race was a Detroit Free Press Marathon. I was
Wow.
16 years old. It was 1985. And I just was trying to run with my brother. My dad at the time had to sign me to run. I remember him saying, "Boy, you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know how I feel to run 26 miles. I'm gonna sign here, but you be careful with your brother, basically." And my brother Ethan, as you know, my brother Ethan Castle, he was my mentor basically growing up, as far as my exercise, weightlifting, and all that. And that's how
So,
I started. And then after I ran the Detroit Free Press Marathon, I was geeked. I was wearing that, you know how you wear your marathon shirt? The next day
yes,
I
sir.
wore it to school, had my little bitty medal on. I thought I was the man back then. And then it went around the school that I ran a marathon. And the track coach approached me and asked me to be on the track team. And that's how I ended up on the track and cross country team in high school,
Wow.
So from long distance to sprinting, just like that, Lou.
just like that.
Wow.
Wow.
That's when I was in my heyday. I was young. I didn't know what a mile was back in those days. We didn't have Garmin's and stuff like that. We just knew, hey, we just get out here and run. And when we get finished, we get finished. But I used to run a 4:48 mile back in high school. And my 10K back then was a 18:30. But I was still a slow guy. We had guys running 15:30 5Ks back in those days. We was killing it in Detroit. We won the state. We won the state back then. We won the city. I got the city gold medal here. And then the following year, the guys that came before us broke our record. It was interesting. They broke the record.
What? Lou, so you came out the gates hot. Marathons,
Yeah.
doing your thing, running track. When you graduated high school, did you continue to run or
Well, I ran in the Navy for a while. I was like the fastest man on my ship back in those days. But then after that, I kind of got away from running. And as life took its toll, I ended up getting a family and totally really forgot about running. I started becoming a bodybuilder. I started lifting weights a lot, going to the gym, pumping steel. I had a few guys at work. We would go to the gym at like 4:30 in the morning and just lift weights and then go to work after that. And then I didn't start back running till 2011. I went from my 20s and then start back running till I got in my 40s.
Wow.
wow.
What got you back into it, Lou?
I went to this conference. It was called God Made Millionaires. One of the guys who graduated from my school, he became a millionaire and he had this conference. And in this conference, he quoted a verse in the Bible that says, "Speak to this mountain to be ye removed." And he said, most people, mountains in their lives is their bills and stuff like that. He says, we as millionaires, what we do is we take an obstacle and we put it in front of us and we tackle that mountain and go over that mountain. And I was like, whoa, that's a different way of looking at that verse. So I
Hmm.
said, you know what? I need to get back to a mountain. I said, oh, you know what? I'm gonna run a marathon again. So I put the Detroit Free Press Marathon, signed up for it. The next day after that conference, I went out and walked a mile. And then the next day I went and did 2 miles. And this was February the 2nd, 2011. I remember the date exactly when I said I was going to do this. And then from then on, it's like my whole life changed. I started meeting running friends and running clubs, and it just opened me up getting back into the running community. But after 2011, I went head on. I think I ran like five of the Detroit Free Press full marathons, and then I went down to Ohio and I did the Glass City Marathon in Ohio, and it opened me up. I said, man, I'm stuck in this little box of just running this Detroit Free Press over and over and over again. I need to expand and see the world. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to start running in different states. And then I have a friend named Connie and Michelle. They running all over the country. They running in different countries. And I'm like, man, I start hanging out with them and they start introducing me to different races. I went and did Toledo race with them. Now I went and did Chicago Marathon. And then one of my cousins who live in New York inboxed me and said, hey, cuz, you want to run the New York Marathon? I run the New York Marathon. What you think? So she said, sign up for it and I'll get you in. Because she worked for TCS, which is a sponsor for the New York Marathon. So I said, all right then. So I filled out the application, everything, boom. She made sure it went through. Next thing you know, I'm getting ready to run New York. So I ended up running New York Marathon. I ended up running which one was that? The Phoenix. I went to Phoenix Mesa Marathon. I went to Nevada, did the Nevada Marathon. Then I was watching Facebook. When I'm looking on Facebook, and one of these friends are talking about these ultra marathons. I'm like, these people crazy. They talking about running more than a marathon. So I'm in this group called, what's the name of the group? We both in the same group, Castleberry, Century Club. I'm in Century Club and I'm watching this girl named Cindy. Cindy is running this ultra marathon up in Marquette, Michigan, and it is. I'm looking at her video on Facebook, and it's nasty. It's rainy and muddy, and it's she walking in the water up near her knees, and I was like, dude, I gotta do that. That look crazy. So I said, you know what? I was quiet about it. I didn't say nothing and I signed up for it. You only can sign up for this race on Black Friday.
That's
So
right.
Black Friday, I signed up for this race and I just quietly posted on Facebook my registration. And everybody exploded like, Sire just signed up for Marquette 50K. And everybody was like, snap, snap. Oh man, here we go. So I ended up doing that. I went up north. I was the only African American in that race. So I won in my race group. So it's like, man, let me go ahead and do this. So I did that race. And then I ended up doing that race. For some reason, I was addicted to that race. I did that race like 6 times so far because it's like one of the most painful races you can do. Then I turned 50. I was turning 50, and my friends, Tom and Michelle, they said, hey, Lou, man, there's a race in Africa, South Africa, and it's called Two Oceans. You run from the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, man. And I'm like, what? They said, but it's on your birthday weekend. You should do it. So I'm like, oh, man. So I said, all right. So I took I kid you not, I took a loan out my 401k, man. Went South Africa, took my wife, ran this race, man. One of the most beautiful races you could run. I got Africans all around me, man. If I say any word, the first thing they all just stop like E.F. Hutton spoke, like, you from the States, man. You from the States. I say, yeah, I'm from the States. I'm from Detroit, the Motor City. I'm from Motown, where music came from, you know. This where the automobile was made. Y'all. And he was like, oh, wow, you got to talk to it. I was like, man, we got to finish this race. We got to do this race. So we running and stuff, man. I had one point in that race. It was funny. The guy, we ran out of water, and the guy was like, oh, man, we ran out of water, man. What we going to do? I said, man, calm down. We got to finish this race. Don't worry about it. He said, okay, man. So we run further down, and they had this makeshift water back there. You ride on balloons and water shoot in your mouth.
Mhm.
That was some good water back then. But I did that race, and that was an awesome race. But we have something awesome going on in Detroit right now.
Quick
We
question,
got
Lou. I want to ask you before you
yeah,
going back to Two Oceans. What year did you do that?
I did that on my birthday. It was the 50th anniversary. It was on my 50th birthday weekend, and that was 2019. Matter of fact, now that you mention it, 2019 was right before COVID. So
Mhm.
that year I turned 50. I did, I went to South Africa. After that, I went and I did a half Ironman. I was doing a podcast interview with a lady named Julie Barnes Maurer, and I was interviewing her about her Ironman that she's done. And she looked at me, she said, "Steve, I didn't know you know how to swim. You could do at least a half Ironman." And I was like, "What? I never even thought about doing an Ironman." So I said, "All right." So usually if you speak something into the universe, it'll come to you. I'm
Absolutely.
running, I'm running with one of my friends named Jim Vegan. I remember we running down the street, and this lady runs, like comes up, runs on the side. She's a little off from us. And I'm telling him, "Hey man, I'm thinking about doing a half Ironman. I just got to get a bicycle." And the lady took like 10 feet away says, "Hey, I got a bicycle. You can have my bicycle."
She just
And I'm
gave it
like,
to you.
and she was giving me her
Ah,
bike. I mean, she got a specialized. This I went and looked it up. This bike is like almost $2,000. I said, "Wow." I said, "You can't give me the bike." I said, "I give you something for it." So I gave her $200 for this like $2,000 bike. So I had to learn all about cycling. That was a whole nother area, is learning how to cycle. So I signed up for this Olympic triathlon. And I didn't know nothing about all the little tricks that triathletes do. Well, one thing, it was funny that everybody had on a wetsuit. And I'm like, wow, these people got on a wetsuit. The water ain't that cold. I'm thinking if you're wearing a wetsuit, the water cold, you need a wetsuit to stay warm. Come to find out, it's buoyancy. It has nothing to do with the water being, because I'm swimming. I just got on a kit. I got on a triathlon kit. I'm swimming in the water, get my swim on, just doing it. And then I sign up for this epic race event they have, that's a swim event. And I finally get me a, a suit in the mail. Put on that suit. I kid you not. I went to this event. I'm in the water for the first time in a wetsuit, and I'm swimming, and I am cracking up laughing inside myself. I'm like, "Oh, this is why they wearing wetsuits. This thing is, I couldn't drown if I wanted to in that suit, guys. I mean, that suit just kept you afloat, and all you had to do is swing your arms like this,
Okay.
and you was going across the water."
I never knew that.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
most people don't know that, but when you put on a wetsuit, it's buoyancy. It just keeps you float.
Okay.
Lucier, you
So
are
that
just dropping gems today, man.
I'm serious, man.
I'm
Like I
looking at
said,
JT's
hey,
face. You looking at mine like marathons, Ironmans, Two Oceans,
ultras.
ultras.
man, it's important that we start getting outside of our shell, man.
Absolutely.
Like my wake up call was like I told you when I went to Glass City, and I was like, man, I gotta open my horizons, because you get stuck in this thing. And it's like the guys who get stuck in the 5K. Every week they do a 5K. Every run they do a 5K. You got the guy that does the 10K. They stuck in the 10K. It's like, okay, they won't go no further than the 10K. Then you got the guys, they stuck in the half marathon. Oh man, half marathon. They back in my day, it wasn't no such thing as a half marathon. When I came back on the scene in 2011 and heard that you could sign up for a half marathon, I was cracking up laughing. I remember I said, "A half marathon? What the heck is that?" And I said they taking all the money off the table. That's what they doing. I said if you can't do a full marathon, don't worry, we'll take half your money. Come on, we still got you.
Wow.
So
I
I
didn't know that. I had no idea. I figured that's something they had always been doing. I didn't know that was a recent thing.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
when I came on the scene, back on the scene, I didn't even know what a half marathon was because you when you're taught something that you have to run a full marathon, then you run a full marathon. You're not thinking half marathon, you're training for a full marathon.
Right. Yeah.
So I was blessed to have came on as a teenager running a full marathon, you know. So it's like David Goggins, David Goggins is this guy who was a Navy SEAL. A lot of you guys know. If you guys never heard of David Goggins, get his book "Can't Hurt Me." He really inspired me and took me to some other levels too. After I read his book, he says this in one of his books. He says, "Stop signing up for stuff you can do." But he's cussing. This guy cusses a lot, very, very, very cussy guy. He got the Navy. He's a Navy sailor. So he's telling you quit signing up for stuff that you know how to do. He said you need to sign up for something you can't do or you're not sure you can do it because it's going to take your mind to the next level. It's going to teach you something that you need. Even if you don't finish it, it's going to brighten your horizons. You need to do something you can't finish. Quit doing stuff you can finish. That's how, if you think about it, Thomas Edison, you know, he, Thomas Edison, it took him, they say, what they say, hundreds of thousands of tries. They say failures. No, it wasn't 100,000 failures. He just, he just was learning 100,000 times till he got to the right one. It's like me. I'm gonna tell you a
Exactly.
secret about me. Back in the day, I used to be a skater. I used to know how to do um freestyle skating. I used to do luxes, sow cows, axles, all that stuff. I learned how to do. I'm a water skier. I know how to ski on one water ski. But let me tell you, when people see me do it, they don't understand it. I fall. I've fallen hundreds and hundreds of times learning how to do each one of those stunts that I do. It didn't come the first time. But I didn't just fall and say, oh man, I can't do this and just quit. Nah, you gotta fall so you can go up. In order to go up, you gotta fall. Falling is part of the system of going up. It's like one of the who is that? Yagasaki said if I think it was Yagasaki who's multimillionaire. He said if you can do one thing all over again, what would you do? He said I would fail more. I wish I could fail more. Because the more you fail, the better you're gonna get at doing stuff. But we have a fear, the fear of the unknown. We gotta get
Mhm.
over that fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's we gotta take fear to faith. Faith is what you need, not fear. Change that F word to faith. You got to walk by faith and not by sight and not by feel. Because what you feel like you can't do something, then you need to do it just so you can get over that anxiety.
What's the acronym for fear? What? False evidence appealing
Appearing real.
real. Yes, thank you.
F
Thank
E
you.
F E A R. False evidence appearing real. Fear.
So JT,
Message.
you can tell, I mean, JT, how impactful Lucier has had his impact here in Michigan and Detroit, just kind of given what he's sharing. I mean, I could personally say running year round, um, training to do a 50K. I mean, there's so many things that's over the years that Lucier has personally kind of poured into me, and God knows everybody else that's here. Lucier, I wanted to ask you, when did you get involved with BMR?
I got involved with BMR when you asked me. You approached me over in Ferndale. I remember the day exactly. You came up to downtown Runners and Walkers. I believe Rome said, "Hey, you need to meet Lucier," and he introduced me to you. That's where it was at, and that's when I was asking you questions about your run life.
Yeah, that was when I got my check. JT, I remember that. I remember you asking me if I ran year round, and at the time I didn't, and you told me then you're not a real runner. And that nudged me, JT, to say, you know
Oh,
what?
snap.
I'm gonna run year round, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yes, he has.
But now that's not really true that you're not a real runner if you don't run year round, right? You just told him that to give him a little.
Back when I said it, I meant it. He knew I meant it.
He
Okay.
I ain't
meant it.
gonna,
I felt it.
I ain't
I
He
gonna,
meant
felt
it.
it.
Okay.
I ain't gonna,
No
I'm gonna
sugarcoat.
say a bad word. I ain't gonna foot around about it. Yeah, I meant what I said. He knew I meant
Okay.
it.
I think one of
Awesome.
the things here, JT, is when it gets to a certain temp, a lot of people just kind of shut down their training.
Mm-hmm.
And as I know now, thanks to Lucire, is when you run year round, I mean, you're constantly keeping your body in shape. So when you
Yeah.
do get into the spring, it's go time.
Yeah.
It's go time.
You're still going.
Still
You
going.
never stop. Same thing down here. We do have guys that once winter hits, our winter is short, but it does get cold down here. Some guys just flat out tell you, I don't like running in the cold. And I'm like, I like running in the cold up to a certain temperature. I'm good with like 30s, below 30, 20s, teens. I'm not feeling it. I've done it, been there, done that. As you get older, it's harder to shake that chill off. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah. But
We got to get JT on the trails, Lucire.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know what? I have an ultra group that I run with usually on Sundays. And I remember I told one of them, I said, "Oh, it's too cold to be running out there one time." And they said it's no such thing as cold weather. It's cold weather running. It's poor clothing decisions. That's what it's about. You got to put on the right clothes. And when they told me that, I started putting on the right gear for running in the winter. And sometimes I overdress on 15-degree days. I've had a Martin Luther King Day this year. It was freezing. Oh my goodness. I think it was 6 degrees outside for Martin Luther King Day. And I remember I ran that 3 miles I had over at the In Harmony Cafe. I had a run with Black Men Run there. It's a black-owned coffee shop. And when I came back to that shop, I was hot and sweaty, and I was like, man, I really dressed for this race. I was ready for it. But you got to put on the right gear. If you're not putting on the right gear, you don't have your hands covered up, your head covered up, your neck covered up.
everything. Hmm.
Yeah, you got to have it covered. We wear face masks around here, to cover up our skin.
Yeah.
But in Detroit, we don't with the guys here, they all hardcore. They all them run in the wintertime. You got a couple of guys that you might not see till the spring, but the majority of them, it, they out there hitting it. They hitting
Yeah,
it
we're
hard.
we're pretty deep. So, Lucire, I want to ask you. I mean, you've been a staple here for the Detroit running scene for years. For you, what makes BMR different compared to some of the other groups that you run with?
Well, DMR is like home. BMR is home. These are my brothers that we're like real close knit. Most of the running clubs I'm with, we cool and everything. I'm real cool with everybody in the running community. If you mention my name in any facet in Detroit metro
Hmm.
area, if they don't know, if they haven't heard the name Lucire, they most likely haven't been running long, or they keep themselves isolated from the African American community, period. So for me, what was that question again you said? What was
What makes BMR different
the
compared to some
difference
of the other
of it?
running groups?
It's just being with my people. I mean, when you don't feel like you're like I've been in some running groups where you feel tolerated. You feel kind of tolerated, but you're not. You just they accept you because you gotta be there. But it's with BMR the way we have our brothers here, it's a family. It's a really tight
Yeah,
family with BMR. I
yeah,
mean, when we go places as a group, don't don't mess with one of my boys. That's all I gotta say. That's like messing with one of my brothers, man. You mess with Castleberry, you messing with me. You know, you mess with Rome, you know it's going down. It's going down.
absolutely.
Yeah, you can't mess with none of the BMR guys because we tight like that, man. We running close. We running we running in the woods together. We climbing hills now together. We did some hill work this past weekend, up and down hills we doing squats and push-ups and all kind of when you doing that kind of stuff next to your brothers and you doing it for a goal, it's like, man, it's like the military being in BMR is just like the military. When you join the military, those guys that you in there with, they'll die for you and you die for them because y'all real tight like that. It's a strong connection. The connection is very strong.
So for BMR Nation, there's about 20 of us here in the Black Men Run Detroit chapter that are going to be running our first 50K together. And shout out to Captain Romero Hardy and Vice Captain Dwayne Goldborn, who's also a turf ambassador. So Dwayne's been the one kind of organizing a lot of the activities that we're doing here. So whether it's hill work, strength training, long runs, you have it. For a lot of these guys, this is their first 50K, myself to be included. So just to be able to have people like Dwayne and Lucier and Rome kind of leading the charge, it's awesome. I wanted to ask you, Lou, I know we got a few more questions here that I definitely want to get out to the audience to hear from you. Of all the races you've done, what's your favorite distance and what's your favorite race?
My favorite race that I've done with the most energy I've seen from a crowd would be New York City Marathon. When I came off those bridges, you felt like a celebrity. The crowd. It was like when I did New York City Marathon, it was 2016. It was 53,000 runners. It was 60 degrees that day. It was a rare warm day in November and it was like a million spectators and they were just yelling at you the entire race. It was just so much energy from the crowd. I heard that Boston is kind of the same way when people do the Boston Marathon, but I haven't experienced that one yet. But that was just an awesome experience going from all the different boroughs. I remember going to the Bronx and somebody yelled, "Welcome to the Bronx! Welcome to the Bronx!" And you running. And then when I was leaving the Bronx, they was like, "Get out the Bronx!" No, and I'm like, what the heck? What's going on here? So New York has so much energy and excitement, man. And then I was blessed to do the VIP in New York. And you go to the VIP section and they take your medal and they put your name and your time on the back of the medal. And they have all this food. It was ridiculous. They had different types of pastas and they ask you what kind of vegetables you want. And you got the little marathon lamp you coming through there. They cooking the food right there in front of you and everything. And they got these rollers where you can just lay down. They got a whole field of rollers. So you just lay down on a mat and start rolling your legs out after the marathon. It was that was epic, man. That was an awesome experience I
Wow,
did right there.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And then
Absolutely.
that Friday before the marathon, it's like the Olympics. Every country, because New York, you got people coming from every country. They give everybody flags for whatever country they in, and you doing a parade. And I was blessed. I was in the parade with the guy who won the LA marathon back then. I can't think of his name. Mab. I was in there. Mab was there. I
Okay.
was waving me, Mab. And then I seen Mab also. I did the Philadelphia Marathon at mile 14. He was giving high fives. at the Philadelphia Marathon. Now that was my worst marathon. It was, and no offense, Philadelphia, but the year I came, it rained on me the entire time. I was freezing that year.
You got to redeem yourself in October or September for Philly, Lou. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. I need a redemption.
I'll be there.
You'll be there. You be
Yeah, I'll
there.
be in Philly.
Okay, okay, JT.
Yeah, I'll be in
Man,
Philly.
man, I'm having a FOMO moment. I need to get to Philly at least.
Oh yeah, man. Because I haven't
We
ran in Philly yet, so I definitely want to. The Philly chapter is one of my favorite chapters. A group of guys is really cool.
Yeah.
All the brothers are cool, but I really dig the Philly crew. So I'm looking forward to that regional meetup.
Lusai, I wanted to ask you just two more things. I know we're getting close to time. Do you have any future, I guess, desired races that you want to do? I know you're going to do North Country with us here in August, but any other races on your bucket list?
No, one day I'll be able to qualify for the Boston as I get older. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I would like to do that one. I'll probably do different. I like what you did, Castle. That vacation race thing you did, that was awesome. I like how you did that ultra run every day of the week. That was kind of cool right there.
Yes,
I could
sir.
dig I could dig going to do that one. That sounds
Let's
like
just
a
do
good
it.
week.
Let's
Yes,
do
that
it.
one would
Let's
be
do it.
awesome. Yeah. Now I think we can get a whole group of guys to go do that one from BMR Detroit. I think they would love that.
Hey, CPO Lamar Cousin, if you hear this, vacation races, it's going down like four flat tires.
And you know this.
That's it.
That's what he
So,
said.
so, so, Lou, I guess the final question I want to ask you is, given all the experiences that you've had with running, what advice would you give your younger self, and what advice would you give to other runners?
My younger self, I would tell my younger self to keep running. You know, that little window that I went from like the Navy to like a 10, 15 years of not running, not even thinking about running, I would tell my younger selves, hey, stay in this game. This is a good game to be in. Stay running, stay healthy. But I would also tell myself, because I had went from lifting weights, bodybuilding, to just straight running. I would say keep lifting weights, but mix it up with running. Your strength training is so very important to your stability for this future thing that you're going to do called ultra marathons that you don't know nothing about yet, but you're going to need this strength in the future. That's what I would tell my younger self in the running game.
Mhm. Anything else on your heart to share with the Brotherhood?
Well, you know what? I'm excited about the future of Black Men Run. I would like to see I would like to see the African American come out their shell. It's a lot of things that we're afraid of. Like you just said, false evidence is appearing real to a lot of us. And what we need to do is start tackling things that we're not too sure about. Because like I signed up for 100 miler 2 years ago. I signed up for the 100 miler here in Michigan. And the thing about it is, for those who don't know, I have real bad knees. Everybody who knows me running is that Uncle Lou, he got that limp. He's slow, but he's sure. He gonna finish the miles.
Sir, yes,
But
sir.
I said that to say this. Go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you can go a little further. That's what I always tell people, because that's what I did. I did the 100 miler. When I went to go do it, it I had to stop, not because that I was tired or didn't want to do it. It's because my knee had swollen up from my arthritis. So if I was a retired person, I probably would have kept going, but I knew I had to be to work in 2 days. So I had to do some recovery so I can get back and work. And for those that don't know, I'm a system tech. I drive a big bucket truck and I climb poles. So I got very strong upper body strength because sometimes I'm carrying ladders or generators or something to troubleshoot internet systems. But I want to tell the young guys that's in Black Men Run and the older guys, sign up for something you can't do. If you was about to sign, I was mad when I tell you what happened. Everybody signed up for the 5K for the Liberty Run. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, nobody signed up for the 10K. What's going on here? Quit signing up for that easy mess. You could run 5K right out the door right now if you guys wanted
Right,
to.
right.
Sign up. If you're gonna pay some money to run, pay some money to run. Don't pay no run money for something that you doing automatically. Pay
Message,
some money for some pain.
message. I don't know about that part, but well, for me it'll be a marathon because I haven't done one yet.
We gonna get you, JT. You gonna
I
get a
want to do
marathon.
New York marathon or
You would
Chicago.
love it.
I really
You
want to
would
do
love
New
it.
York because they got those bridges.
I promise you, you would love those bridges. Even when I wasn't doing the marathon, like the day after the marathon, I did a nice 4 mile route across the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. You would have loved it. I
I
promise you,
know, I
JT.
know.
You would
So
have loved it.
we get up there.
Yeah, them
So
bridges are awesome there.
that's on my list at some point. I don't know when, but and the ultras, I can't even conceive of. So I tip my hat to both of y'all. I know you got the group from Detroit. You guys are doing the ultra in, is it August?
August,
Yeah, yeah.
August.
So look forward to covering that as well. Um, that's
We have a bridge for you, JT, that's
yeah.
being built right now in Detroit. It's called the Gordie Howe Bridge. It's going to have a pedestrian walk, so we'll be able to show our passports and run over to Canada. You would love that,
Oh,
JT.
cool. So I just need to wait until that's finished to come back to the D.
That's Yep, that'll
What
be
up,
next year.
though?
Come on through.
You know
Come
I
Come
on
on
will.
through.
through.
You know I will. For those who haven't had a chance to meet Lucier, he's one of those guys. I promise you, you will feel like he's somebody you've known your whole life.
Absolutely.
First time I met
Absolutely.
JT,
dude, I'm like, I like this dude. He's cool as hell. It
we
was,
cooked together, JT. We cooked for the
yeah,
Brotherhood.
we did. I didn't
You
let him do
you
grits
cooked
because
you
you're from the
cooked the
north.
grits,
So
JT. I couldn't cook the grits. You cooked the grits.
yeah, yeah,
Well, sire, I'll say that event I think you guys are talking about is the Great Smoky Mountains race
right.
in Tennessee that was
Hmm.
hosted by Vacation Races. And what I personally notice is that even though you were involved with Blackman Run before that race, I noticed a huge difference in your spirit afterwards. And I just want to tell you personally, on behalf of BMR Nation, SLT, Detroit, we love you, brother. We
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
all that you do. Vice captain, former turf ambassador, co-host of the Healthy Brotherhood podcast. I mean, there's so many things that you do for this organization.
Yeah,
We can't thank you
absolutely.
enough, Lou.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the organization. It's a love for me. I really love seeing seeing us go from glory to glory to glory to glory. I like seeing us all taking it going to the next levels.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's going to their next level.
Yes, indeed.
Beautiful,
And in
beautiful
different
thing.
directions too, which is
Different
pretty, yeah,
directions.
yeah, very different
Yes,
directions.
sir.
It has sparked a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So um, that's been a really good. Love having you as a co-host. I can't imagine doing this without Lucier. Although one episode I did have to do it without him, and so I pulled Darielle in, D Rock,
I
uh, as
remember that.
as my guest co-host. Um, So that was fun to have him on. But when I
That's
think
when I went
about
out of
this,
town.
yeah, you were out of town.
I
I
went
gave you
to the
that one
Rocky
break.
Mountains. Where did I go? I think I went to that was my wife's birthday, and we went
Yeah.
out west to the what is that called? The Grand Canyon.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
Grand Canyon experience. Oh my goodness, you got to do that. You got to do that.
that's what I hear, man. That's what I hear. But yeah, man, this is me and you doing this thing, and I love doing it with you. Um, you just like again, when I think of the Healthy Brotherhood experience, I think of Lou Sire. I think of me, and I think of D-Rock too, behind the scenes, because he's behind the scenes guy. Because really
What
three
up,
of us, a
D?
lot of people don't know. He's our IT, not just for this, but for the whole Black Men Run organization. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And you
Appreciate
know
you,
what?
Daryl.
I've learned so much because of D-Rock.
yeah.
For all those that don't know, I had a podcast called Running the Dream, and D-Rock walked. He came up to me. He said, "Man," he said, "you should start a podcast." I said, "Man, I don't know what a podcast is." I said, "But if you help me, I do it." So he started doing it, he told me to start interviewing people. And that's how
Mhm.
I started running the dream back in the day when I was doing that for a minute. But out of that, I started listening to podcasts because I never listened to podcasts. And man, I've gotten so much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding listening to all the different podcasts on health and running and politics and different things, man, that it's like changed a lot of my thinking and a lot of my um aptitude, just took me to another level listening to podcasts. Because you can go in your search bar in the podcast, you can put in any subject that you want to know. You can put
Mhm.
in anything like knee problems, and all the
Mhm.
podcasts will pop up that have episodes with knee problems.
Right. Right.
So I really, D-Rock is the man. I
Yes,
owe
he
him
is.
a lot.
Yes,
He's
he
been
is.
a blessing in my life, man.
Mine too. All of you
Appreciate you,
guys
Daryl.
have. All you guys have. We appreciate Brother Castleberry coming on the Healthy Brotherhood
Thank you, guys.
experience and leading this interview of our brother Lucire Boy. Excellent job. Pat yourself on the back, Brian.
Thank you guys for this opportunity.
Yes, indeed. And for all those listening, you have just experienced what we like to call the Brotherhood.
Brotherhood.
Yes, indeed.